what do you call it, myself. Well, you see, I've been living in Italy, studying from some building study, and then the life was going pretty fine. And then at one point the life became a little bit insufficient. It became a little bit uneasy for me, and I started to decide to look for something that I did not really know, but I knew that I needed something else. So we started a search. You could call that a vocation, that in a Catholic Italian standard you will end maybe in a seminary, but that was not my direction. I started to be interested in meditation and Oriental, what you call philosophy. I started to understand the difference between the religion and the spirituality. And pretty soon, as I was quite luckily dynamic, I was in India. So I made my 17 years old in India, particularly in the Sri Aurobindo ashram, and very much fascinated by the main master at that time were still available in the Italian context. They were the first ones. So you had the Patanjali, Aurobindo, the Varanda Paramahansa with his book, Ramakrishna with his famous brochure. So that was enough anyway to fascinate and bring me to India. That definitively from fascination I fell in love. So I was very young here, used to come every summer in the holiday of the school or the work. And then at one point I decided to take the big leap and came to join Auroville. That was in '83. So in '83 I joined up the community of Auroville. That was at that time very different what you see now. It was a very pioneeristic, much more hippie in some way, but also very much more intense spiritually. At least that was on your face, let's say. I can't state thing like this so sharply, but and then became my life. I had family. I met somebody. We had family, and all the time anyway I was drawn to work here, to work in Matrimandir, in different roles. Then I became water in charge, so I've been actually participating in the water system, of which I am in charge for the last 20-25 years. So all what has been water. I was given a role then after this for the water distribution of the city. So we merged in 2 or 3 water distributors. So we are the biggest distribution of the city, and Matrimandir still, and a few other big water infrastructure. So became a little bit the water, the department that I got more dedicated to. But inside, anyway, my main activity, my main interest remains spirituality. So I went through a number of schools, of which I'm still, not only the Aurobindo one, but I went to the Vedanta, we went to the original research mark, and so I became also involved with that as a teacher, organization, group meditation, and so. And you see, it's beautiful to live in Auroville, and of course in India, that you can be easily get in contact with all these different schools and start to understand that enormous heritage of spirituality and culture that is India, that is such a dimension that if you want really to enjoy, you can only live in it. When you are in the West, the atmosphere and the engagement and the rhythm of life will not allow you to penetrate in the depth that is necessary to overcome that cultural barrier that it is there. Whatever we want to say, we can travel, but before to penetrate with your inner part and understand all how the spirituality, in particular in India, has been concentrated itself. Nowhere in the world you have the spirituality that India has produced, and not easily understood because there is this cultural barrier that only living with them, living in India, you can start to tackle a little bit. And so that's what has happened. Well, as I mentioned already, yes, you can. There are ways to do it a little bit better and way to do a bit more part-time, let's say. So I personally felt that the life I was very young, the life that I was going eventually to get engaged in that case in Italy was not what I wanted. So I did make a choice. Now, if I would not have done that in Italian life, definitively you can do something. You can arrive to a certain stage of what you want to arrive. I mean, you see, everybody has his own, what is called in Sanskrit, dharma, his own way. No one, you cannot copy the way of someone else. So if you feel like it's no compromise type of life, you do what I did. If you feel like will be enough some other level, or you feel fulfilled by something that is more easily available in the West, you don't have to do that. Now, this means it will bring you somewhere. You can do a normal Westerner life with the work and the family and everything, and you will arrive definitively somewhere. Now it's debatable, each will, if it is the same phrase, apply to everybody in the same. No, of course not. So it's a question not so easy to answer. Regarding what has been my experience that I can do, I came here and I had actually a perfectly normal life with a family, children and my father, and they stay with us. And I had my work. Of course, Auroville is a community, so the way you relate to your work is different, and that's why I liked it. That's why I joined us. That type of work required here still leave you a little bit of space, a little bit of way to grow, and it's less tense, it's less, how do you say, taken by the life that otherwise is in the West. So I'm extremely happy to have made a choice that I made. So I chose to live in a community with the pros and cons that bring this. Well, when we start searching, sincerely speaking, we don't know what we are searching for. We just a thirst for something. Now, if you get the right school, the right master, for instance, Auroville school is very well explained by Mother what pulled you. She defined as aspiration. There is an inner call, there is an inner thirst, there is an inner need that basically bring you somewhere. Now, spirituality is an ocean. Basically, as they say, when materialism ends, start the religion. When the religion ends, start spirituality. And then when spirituality ends, start the search of the reality. Now, in all this range of things, you go through with just simply your thirst, with your aspiration, with your, call it invocation or whatever. That brings you somewhere. According to your nature, and according to the school that you will meet and will host you will go in different direction. As I say, Auroville give the chance to have a very wide possibility. So now, when we say illumination, not all the people who has a spiritual aspiration actually aim to illumination. The word illumination actually more referred by the Buddhist context. What is in Hinduism is called self-realization, to realize what is the real, your most inner self, in alternative of what you are born and you believe to be. In a very few simple words, you are thinking, you are being trained with an identity that is registered with your government, and then after that you have identification with your body, with what the body produces for you, sensation of pain or pleasure, and what is inherent that will be built inside the mental shield as well, your mental sphere. So you think you are the body, you think you are your thinking, that is your thinking, without understand that your thinking doesn't really exist. You are being receiving both from the external. And then you have a certain amount of vital energy that will combine in this. These three, they represent the lower being. That is technically called, spiritual parlando, the lower being. And that's what you think you are. The illumination or self-realization is the disengagement from this belief and start to understand who you really are. You can put it in another way. You can put it, you are born in a transition of space and time, and you believe to be a little part into a context of space or time. Through the illumination, realization, you start to understand what you are beyond that. You are in the eternal, what you have been always. You are actually not born, you will not actually die, because you are that little continuation of what is called in the culture of the West, the soul, that we should also go through and understand what we are talking when you talk about soul. So, but the fact is that is the part that is eternal in you, that is not transitional, what is eternal. And this called normally in spiritual parlando again self with a capital letter, this self. what is the most internal you. That is the seat of the consciousness and the awareness. This is what characterizes actually what they call it traditionally the soul. If you look into for instance, the content that Auroville is describing us and helping us with, is called the psychic being. And many words has been given to this moment of awareness that is behind us. The important is to understand that you are not and what you actually eventually always be. Here lay the secret of what they call illumination or self-realization. And it's quite a process that one has to go through. It can also be a moment, like a Zen word that illuminate you. But I don't think it happens very, very often. Generally, the self-realization is a moment produced by a lot of preparation hidden behind, of meditation and practice, spiritual practice according to your nature. And then one day you understand that you are not what you were thinking you were, then what you are. There starts the real moment of transformation and restructuring. That is the moment. It started what they call a new birth, and so everything help, you can say that. Esoteric means manipulation of energy. So what characterizes a little bit the religion, especially Hinduism, is a certain involvement with energy. So as well, as a bit like the Catholic Church, we do have in the Hinduism the female principle, and the female principle is energy. So now, and then it's very much combined. I mean, it's difficult to explain how much India is wide, has been involved in so many aspects and so much research of what the word God was used for, and how much has been approached from different angles, creating what they call a Sanatana Dharma, what they call the English word of Hinduism. Actually, it's a word built up by the West, and the word is Sanatana Dharma. That is a congregation of all different point of view of spirituality and search. Esotericism, what we call in the West, is actually manipulation of energy of vitality energy, mental energy, and so. Now, all this, they have a function in a certain search. But as we were saying before, the moment of understanding your eternal part of yourself, this is actually the real progress, that we can call the aim, or maybe something that starts a new phase, but that is the milestone. So all these things, they can contribute, make some interest, but the real point is understand who you are. See, Auroville is not Advaita, so here you are trying to play me a trick. Auroville is a type of, first of all, as we were saying before, religion is religion. Religion is a belief. So what you have been suggested and eventually you are set by tradition, your family, your culture. So it's something you take it and you keep it and don't eventually discuss. Spirituality is the next phase, when you start to discuss it, when you have something to say, with something that it doesn't work for you, and then you start to understand that it's something beyond the belief. There is the experience. You want to rely upon your experience and your learning through whatever spiritual tool you can find, meditation, japa, recitation, whatever is the instrument of your spiritual growth. So in Auroville we are not concerned at all with religion. In fact, religion in Auroville doesn't enter. Enter the yoga, enter spirituality and yoga. So at that point, as a certain characteristic, if you want to take, you have a range. Not easy to explain such a thing. From of spirituality in India goes from the Tantra to this opposite, the Advaita Vedanta. In the middle, there are many middle paths. That they have something. Exists also something called Tantric Advaita. That is the joining of the very two opposites. That is a contradiction very difficult to catch. In a way, Sri Aurobindo Yoga you can characterize as such. Personally, see, the Advaita, the illumination, self-realization is something so transcendental, so subtle, so difficult to catch, or you become it, or you will always say something silly. Try to identify that. So in that place, when you get Sri Aurobindo Yoga, and this is then you want to identify the Tantra and the Advaita, what I have learned to do, I keep it as a borderline, the purpose, the word purpose. Tantra, as such as Sri Aurobindo Yoga, has in his spiritual path inbuilt the purpose. You do that for some reason. You want to achieve something for you, for the community, for the world, for the peace of the world, whatever is your aim. Advaita is very complicated to explain because you cannot explain. Advaita is to go beyond any need. You are just a subtle what you have been, you return what you have been always, and there is no purpose, there is no gain out of Advaita. You have learned to be, and there is no you, there is only being. So a thing like this, you can't use it, you can't handle it. You will not give you apparently any reward, but it's actually the most important thing to achieve. There's nothing that can be substituted to having that moment, that particular moment that you understand that actually you were not what you were thinking you are. And you are not even in a hurry to know what you will be, because anyway you are. So it's actually this kind of thing in India are a bit easier to understand. If you look at it, you have the who I am, and then there is you will be forever. So the difference between the consciousness, that when you say I am, I'm conscious, I am, whatever I am, I am. And then there is just be something, just existing. So in Indian terminology there is even Sat and Chit. Chit is consciousness, Sat is existence. Sat is the support of the consciousness. The consciousness come and go. It's still a space-time type of moment of yourself, because actually the moment of yourself you can define like that. Sat exists by himself. It cannot be cancelled. It can never be finished. So when you identify in this state of being, this is the difference between the two. And in Indian philosophy, yoga is very defined. You find description, you find in the script, Bhagavad Gita everywhere, is all very easy explained to you. In the West, something like this, you will not find it, let's say easily, or you will not find it at all. It's something very specific of this culture. Even the Buddhism, the Zen, actually come from India itself. It spread and it made his own point here and there in the world. But actually, in the Catholic, in the Christianity, these things you will never find something that will find any help to understand these moments. Again, here we step one back. There is religion and there is yoga. Yoga is something. So the Hinduism religion, again it was Sanatana Dharma, has a certain instruction for the Hindu religion. Here again we speak about religion. So the point is, if you want to be a good Hindu or Sanatana Dharma member, you have to do a certain amount of thing instructed by the religion. Mean pilgrimage to pilgrimage place. So you have to do certain way, in a certain way, and you have to have pilgrimage to achieve all sort of, holitude, whole achievement of, and then you will reach what is called moksha or liberation. So this is very much the aim of the religion. Now, the borderline between religion and yoga is not always so sharp, it's not so defined. I'm trying to make it, but actually they blend together, these two. So once you reach your moksha and you are in an attitude of yoga, you can also come back and work in the state of consciousness or awareness. So the liberation is something that can be your final objective, or you can also keep it as at the beginning of yoga. In fact, Sri Aurobindo states very clear that that liberation you can also take it, but the point is not at all the aim. He has something else as the aim of his yoga. It's a total transformation of consciousness and transformation of consciousness collective for the whole humanity. That's what we want to do here. It's not our individual growth. You will take martial, you get liberation, you're gone, finish, and the other they can manage what they want. That's not Sri Aurobindo message at all. That's not what Auroville was meant to. So Auroville has a certain spiritual role. It's an experiment of transformation not only of the individual, but of a collectivity to eventually meet, how do you say, an impact of amount of people have achieved a certain level of spiritual state for the change of the humanity, and the change in particular of what? Of the consciousness, the state of consciousness. To understand that transformation consciousness means you are born as a human, you think you are a man, you think you are a single individual separated from the whole, but it's not. It's an illusion. So that understanding that you are the energy that flow through you, mental, vital, the body come to you, you are building a body, go back in the ground after, nobody will remember you anymore after a while. This is to tell you what? That you are a successional movement of exchange of energy that is, how to explain it without technical term and so. Something, it's just the word that exchange himself in energy and matter. But you, as an individual, you are an illusion. You are for a little, you are the same illusion as the bubble in the sea or the beach. There is nothing much, but this is the fact that if you think, you will understand it's really like that. Now, that state of consciousness has to change in your eternal change of consciousness, mean in an eternal side that you will see things flowing, and you will see that illusion that you think you were, it was actually a little game. It was a little, not even a comedy. That thing you must have seen, the Pandava or Shiva that dance. That is the consciousness that dances in each of us, and is the same consciousness that dances in you, in me, and everybody. This is the message that you have to arrive, but not mentally. You have to live it. You have to become that Shiva. You have to become that consciousness. And that's what we are trying to do here for everybody, a collectivity that is at this level of understanding, if you want to call it. So the Yoga Sri Aurobindo is trying to join three things: Jnana, Bhakta, and Karma. So Bhakta is the devotion. That's what brings you from the beginning of your vocation. It will carry you with all the difficulty of the past. And at one point you will understand the past is not there anymore because you have become. And all this has to be related to a certain amount of action, and that is karma. That's why it goes through Bhakta, Jnana, Karma. And that's what we want to do here. It's not a running away from anything. On the contrary, we want to achieve that level, but we bring it down here. And we live with a new dimension of transformed consciousness. And that we want to do for serious. We don't want just to say word. I'm not trying to tell you word. I'm trying to tell you this as you have to become consciousness on. Because everyone will anyways follow his path. Each one has his own destiny that we'll have to discover, and each one has his own way. You can't tell everybody does that what I did. No, that's not the way to do. Each one will have to go his own way. But if you want real happiness, you have to go deep in you, understand what is really matter for you. Otherwise, you will not reach that equilibrium, that happiness or whatever. So at one point, if you want to be really satisfied, happy with your life, you have to include, a spiritual work. The classical say, a man is like a bird, he has two wings. One is a material wing, one is a spiritual wing. You have really to work on that one also. Otherwise, your life will be miserable at the end. So you have to look for and not repress, not try to forget what is that little aspiration, that little voice that has to carry you. Keep searching. You have to search. You don't know what you want to achieve, but you listen to that little aspiration or search in your heart. That's what you have to do, whatever it will bring you.